We continue Red Hot Chili Pepper Month on this channel by doing something a little bit more different. You see, I already talked about how I got into the Red Hot Chili Peppers, so I decided to talk about what makes the band unique in their sound. Now, every member in the band has brought their own style into the music, and everyone has their moments. But today I'm going to be talking about the guitarists of the band, since they already have been through 5 guitarists over the course of the studio albums, and that's not even mentioning the ones that played with them in other albums. So today we're going to look at my least favorite to my most favorite guitarists who have ever been in the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Now, I'm only going to be counting the ones who recorded albums with them. So the people who played with them live, but never recorded with them, those people don't count. And also keep in mind, this is my personal preference. So if you have a problem with the ranking, at least leave a comment to say what your ranking is, or you can click off this video and that'll be the end of it. But at the end of the day, it's still your opinion and nothing's going to change that. So let's get started with my number 5 pick. Now, Jack Sherman is dead last due to the fact that his guitar playing was a little too similar to the guitarists of the 80s. Though that's because he was working alongside producer Andy Gill of Gang of Four to make that happen. He plays on the band's very first studio album, and despite playing the notes like Hillel Slovak did, there's not much feel to it. It's not noticeable at first when you hear the album, but when you hear the demos done by the original band members, you can tell that something is lacking. Anthony stated in his biography, Scar Tissue, that he didn't have a down and dirty, nasty dog element to his sound that Hillel had. They had an established combo of punk rock and funk, but Jack didn't really come from that, and it kind of shows. Now, I'm not saying that he's a bad guitarist. He gets the job done, and he played on a Bob Dylan album after he left the band. So it's more along the lines of that he didn't really fit in with the band more than anything, which is odd for me to say because the drummer in their first album was not even the original drummer. Cliff Martinez replaced their original drummer Jack Irons for the first 2 albums, and he was a great fit, which makes Jack Sherman stand out like a sore thumb, unfortunately. Yes, Josh is just a step above my least favorite guitarist on this list. I'm not knocking the guy down. Hell, it's brave of him to replace one of the most amazing guitarists of all time, and he does put an effort to establish his own sound in his group. His sound is more minimalistic to the point where it's not that much noticeable at all. His playing is there, but something about it just seems like the band is a little draggy sometimes. Like Jack Sherman, Josh didn't have the pedigree of funk rock or punk, but his sound is a little bit more emotional with the fact that he is a fan of jazz and funk. I felt that he started okay with I'm With You when it was starting to get into the groove of what the Chili Peppers were about, and with songs like Factory of Faith and Monarchy of Roses, he seemed like a good fit at the time. It felt like he added more to the songs. So why is he lower on this list? Well, despite being a pretty damn good guitarist, I don't have many moments where I'm completely blown away by him, unlike the next 3 people on this list. This is noticeable on The Getaway, where I was hoping he would blow me away with his guitar playing, but it's more like, okay. That's it. It's just okay. He's playing, some of the emotion is there, like on Dark Necessities and Goodbye Angels, where he shines a bit, but that's just a few moments. Hell, in the song Go Robot, he doesn't get to shine until way into the end of the song and it fades him off. This is especially disappointing because The Getaway was produced by Danger Mouse, one half of Gnarls Barkley, a group who Josh has played with. So this hurts me so much more than it should. Maybe if they had Rick Rubin back to produce their album, maybe. Rick actually gave Josh a chance, but either Danger Mouse or the band is just keeping him away, I'm not sure. As is, Josh is my second least favorite guitarist. Not because he's a bad guitarist, he's far from the worst guitarist I've heard. His playing style is fine, it's just not my cup of tea. Now, I want to say this. Yes, Josh is a better guitarist than Hillel. I agree in some respects. So why did I put Hillel over him on this list? Well, it's because Hillel Slovak actually blew me away the first time I heard him play. The first song I heard his playing was in Jungle Man all the way back when I was in the 11th grade. Consider Jungle Man a Red Hot Chili Pepper song, a memory mini-episode. I remember seeing the music video for this and seeing the band being this weird group of guys. So much so that I didn't pay attention to the song. Then, when I did, I actually found it to be pretty fascinating. Hillel's playing drew me in, and when it got to the guitar solo, I was pretty much sold on this guy. I had middling expectations of this guy, and when I heard that solo, I heard the heart and soul put into it. I can see where John's passion comes from. Hell, when I heard the studio version of Fire, I thought it was John playing it, because the guitar solo was so wicked and wild. And then when I found out Hillel did it, I liked him a lot more. His playing style fit in the early sound with a combo of punk, rock, funk, and a little bit of thrash sometimes. The band's style often followed how he played, and it often led the way. Songs like Fight Like a Brave, Yertle the Turtle, Funky Crying Backwoods, and the demo version of Out in L.A. shows his musical abilities like it's second nature. And then you get to Behind the Sun, which is Hillel's moment to shine, where he plays his guitar, and he plays it really well. Everyone, like Alan Cross said about Hillel, everyone believed in this man as a musician and as an artist. And if you listen to his playing, if you put yourself in that 80s mindset, you can see where they're coming from. Unfortunately, with his passing in 1988, we'll never know what more he could do. He left a lasting impression in the band's sound, and nothing will take away from that. Rest in peace, Slim. Don't be afraid to show that your friends are in the sky. I'm guessing you're surprised that I put Dave so high on this list. Listen, I'm just as surprised as you are. Now I know what a few of you are thinking. Why did you put the guitarist responsible for one of the worst albums so high on the list? He was only in the band for one album. And how come you put him at number 2 when Jack Sherman was in dead last? Well, you notice how I said a few of you are thinking. Well, back then, One Hot Minute was hated because it was so radically different from Blood Sugar Sex Magic, but now it's considered a hidden gem. Hell, I have 2 different shirts with the album on it, and Dave's playing really stands out. And yes, even though he's only made one album, and one other song, unlike Jack, he made a damn decent impression, like, wow! And yes, even though he's only made one album, and one other song, unlike Jack, he made a damn decent impression, like, wow! What I was hearing was not what I was expecting. Dave brought more of the darker feel to the Chili Peppers, a different kind of weirdness to them. He didn't come from the funky music tribes, he came from the heavy metal and psychedelic part of rock. And there was people who were not having that since he didn't fit in with the band. He adds a more heavier sound to the music. Songs like Warped, Deep Kick, and One Hot Minute show that his sound is grand, but not too much that overshadows the rest of the band. Hell, he can play funk when he needs to. Listen to Aeroplane and Walkabout where he plays it like it's second nature. So, I don't know why there are some holdouts to this day that don't like Dave's tenure with the band just because it caused a change in sound. Some people flat out refused to listen to it, and I was one of those people until I heard Warped for the first time, and I was kind of for it. And when they released Circle of the News years later, I was wishing that Dave's tenure with the band lasted a little while longer. Hell, out of everyone who I wanted in the band, Dave's return would be fascinating and pretty interesting. And this leads to my number 1 pick. This is my personal favorite guitarist who has ever been part of the Chili Peppers. He adds so much to the style of the band to the point where he could pretty much play anything. He's adaptive, like Dave was. He plays with emotions like Josh does. He plays with beautiful technique like Hillel did. He's pretty much a chameleon in the guitar room. And with each of the albums he's played for, he's never repeated himself. On Mother's Milk, he was emulating Hillel's playing style and adding funk metal elements. On Blood Sugar, he was more funk rock and melodic to it. In Californication, he has a less is more approach, which he brought breathing to his playing. And by the way, his playing was a lot more textured and emotional. And on Stadium Arcadium, he threw caution to the wind, said F it and rock the F out. He plays complex melodies when he's not expanding his thought process and experimenting with other genres. Listen to a song like Good Time Boys and then listen to Cabron, and you wouldn't believe that they're the same guitarist. Like Hillel Slowback, he pretty much leads the band in the sound and everyone else follows. So when he left for the second time, it was kind of like the band lost some focus. At least when Dave was in the band, there was some focus, and despite the craziness behind all that, they made a pretty damn good album, which was overshadowed by 2 John albums. But John is my favorite Red Hot Chili Pepper guitarist, not because his playing is amazing, but because he gives the music focus. He gives them a starting piece 80% of the time, and the rest of the band follows it by giving them their 100%. He makes the band better whenever he takes the lead, and he's not afraid to follow. He cares about the music, and it shows throughout all the albums he's been in with the band, and his solo material, and that's not bad. That's not bad at all. And that is my least to most favorite guitarists who have been in the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Again, this is my personal opinion. If you have your list, comment below or above or wherever. Honestly, with YouTube changing formats, I don't know where they're going to end up. So like or comment or ignore, whatever. If you made it this far, thank you for watching, and I'll see you when Red Hot Chili Pepper Month keeps going. Thank you. Still here?